Hey, good people. I hope you enjoyed your happy Thanksgiving. And also, I hope you did not depart from your family because one may have voted Democrat and one may have voted Republican. So, guys, in all of history, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving with your family and your friends. Now, with that being said, I have a quick question for you. What has actually changed since 1963? Since Dr. King delivered his iconic speech, I Have a Dream, to President Lyndon B. Johnson signing the Civil Rights Act of 1964, a landmark decision to cease all discrimination across race, color, religion, and national origin. I'll give you a clue. It's been discussed, it's been debated, and it's been used as an attack tool in both mainstream media and on social media. Trump mentioned it. Black jobs. Many blacks didn't know how to take that. And so, what do people tend to do? It could be any race, it doesn't matter. Human beings, what do they tend to do when they're embarrassed? They tend to cover, right? And also blame. So, like the Garden of Eden, started of old, and people begin to act out in certain ways, right? So, the tagline was, I love my black job. As you know, they tried their best to tear Trump apart and to annihilate him. So when he was up on the stage, there were certain reporters that asked him, Trump, what exactly is a black job? The same reporters who were digging into Trump as he was trying to explain to them what black jobs was and what he meant by that, what they failed to remember, and I'm going to read this off to you, is that their sister and brother reporters were being fired. So over a period of time, there are a lot of black reporters that have been let go. Let me name a few, and I know that you've heard of them. Tamron Hall, our favorite. She was let go from mainstream. Don Lemon, Mark Lamont Hill, Roland Martin, Breonna Joy Gray, Trymaine Lee, Torrey, and many more. And so I just wanted to let you know, when he said black jobs, that's exactly what he meant. And it wasn't just the population being affected, it was also blacks at the top being affected. Now, I want to remind you of one more thing. As blacks went on and on and on about their black jobs, what they didn't research on or what they don't know is what I'm going to tell you right now. According to a recent White House report, the White House newsletter briefing, which can be found on their website, as of October 2024, 5.7% of Black or African American individuals are currently unemployed. Now, if you anything like me, you're not a percentage person. You need numbers, right? So let's translate what 5.7% actually means in numbers. So, according to the White House report, as of October 2024, which is just last month, actual numbers, approximately 2.5 million blacks in America who are unemployed. Now, as the famous comedian Country Wayne would say, let that simmer in your spirit. Last week, I went over an episode known as Black Jobs. The reason why I went over that, because I dug into some stuff, I looked into some research, and like I said, 2.5 million people being unemployed, that is a lot. And not just people, but the black community. And then the subject of black jobs ringing throughout the media. So as you know, when I went over last week, I gave an episode, I shared with you in the video these points on what I came up with when it came to black jobs. Number one, what exactly was a black job? What did Trump mean by that versus what people said he meant? And immigration jobs versus black jobs, is there a difference? Or are they closely related? And what jobs will be open when these millions of immigrants are mass deported? Again, you have 2.5 million Black Americans who are unemployed, but you also have millions of immigrants that they're talking about deporting. Are those jobs going to actually go to those Black people? Or, as I dug into some research and I stated within the video, you're dealing with a underserved people. Those people are not just Black, they're white, and they're also Hispanic, Mexican, Latina, which are Americans, right? So those are going to be people that are vying for those jobs. So I broke down that information in the video. Also, I had to have an honest talk with Black people because I wanted Black people to understand that some of the Black people, just as may as it be, may not even be fair, we know this, but some have a lot of backgrounds. Some have certain education blocks where they haven't been educated to a certain level, or their skill set don't match up to their dreams. So that's also has been a hindrance too, along with discrimination in the workforce. Of course, I went over some EEOC information to let you know that there were 600,000 cases that has been filed so far this year for discrimination in the workforce. So even that is a continued battle. Now, you can check that video out at the end of this video that I'm going to give you today, right? And plus in that video, I went over second chance jobs. I named a list of corporations that if you're one of those people, you're looking for a second chance job, which hire people who have backgrounds. Also, that information is listed in there too. Now, to put that aside, I want to go over some information today because we're going into December, right? And December needs to be a fresh start. So for TCLN, what December is going to be all month long is reflections and resolutions. Now, I don't mean the resolution where you say, you know what, I make a resolution, I'm going to lose 50 pounds. And then you know how they go. Some people do, some people don't, but you know the story, right? That's not the type of resolution I'm talking about. The type of resolution I'm talking about, reflection and resolution. See, all year long, and especially since this was election year, there has been so much information that has came to us. Lots and lots of information. And we need to filter that. We need to reflect on it. We also need to bring a resolution. And when you say, well, IBK, what do you mean by bring a resolution? Well, this is what I'm talking about. So for TCLN, all month long, the theme is going to be facing the system that has held us back and held us captive, also turning that pain into power in an unfair world. So what I mean by that is that we're going to look over some of these systems that we've been talking about for generations and generations and generations, because I think some people know about police brutality. Some people know about racism. Some people know about all these topics that people talk about, right, in mainstream media. But it's so much bigger than that, right? It is so much bigger than just those few little topics when you're dealing with what you call systemic issues or unjust issues. It is way more than that. Do you understand that? So what we're going to do is we're going to face some of those issues this month. We're going to look into them, not from a standpoint of victim or because we looking at the past and all that kind of stuff. We're going to open up what are these issues and how have they translated to us through generations. And we're going to look at true forgiveness. You understand what I'm saying? Because I think it really is time for the Black community to start moving forward. And when I say moving forward, we can't move forward until we face the truth. Now, I know that's going to come to people a little bit, and they're going to be like, well, what you mean face the truth? We've been facing the truth. But the truth is, have we actually been facing the actual truth? Because when we look at this thing that we call systemic racism, and we're looking at all the different races that work within what we call a system, the United States of America system. Is it really race? Is it? And I want to pose that to you today. I want you to stop and I want you to think about it. Because I know you're going to say, well, yeah, it's the white man. Yeah, man, they've been trying to hold us down all this time. Yeah, man, you don't understand. It's way back from slavery day. It's way back from what they did to us. Well, that's what this show is about. This show is about looking at that, but also looking at other elements that take a part of this system that we quite kind of brush over and we don't want to be honest about. Because in order for us to truly move forward as a people, we got to look at some stuff. And we got to look at it for plainly for what it is. And we can't keep harping on, like I asked you the question earlier, what has taken place since then? As a matter of fact, when I asked you that question earlier, what I did is I went into what you call Chat GPT. This is what I asked Chat GPT. I said, with all of the systemic racism, with all of the American issues that we've been having for years and years and years, I want to ask you, if you were human and you were able to solve problems, what would be the number one way to solve the problems and social issues and economic issues and all of these issues that we go through in America? how would you solve that problem? What would be your number one way? This is what Chad had to say. Chad said it would be to restructure the systems that perpetrate inequality, injustice, and oppression. This includes reforming laws, redistributing resources, holding institutions accountable, and investing in grassroots movements that demand real, actionable change. Systemic transformation ensures that social structures themselves are not reinforcing the very problems that we are trying to eliminate. Without dismantling these entrenched systems, even the best individual efforts and empathy will struggle to make a lasting change. Now, I thought about that. I sat there and I said, okay, from 1963, when Dr. Martin Luther King gave his famous speech, I Have a Dream, and from when President Lyndon B. Johnson, signed the Civil Rights Act of 1964, to all of these organizations we've had over the years. I mean, I looked up some organizations, guys, it is hundreds of them. So many of them I can't even name. And these organizations have been all over America for many, many years, from women's organizations to suffrage organizations to race organizations to everything you can think of dealing with these issues that we're talking about. That we're talking about systemic issues, racial issues, economic issues. And I really thought about that, and I'm like, they've been doing that. They've been doing exactly what Chat offered to do. So why are these problems still not being solved? That's what I asked myself. So I pulled away from Chat and I asked myself, yeah, but I said to myself, that's been done. They've been doing that. And I know that there's been some progress, but there's still a lot lacking. And so I was like, well, why is it lacking? Why? Why is it still this thing? After all these years, why? And then it popped inside my mind. Napoleon Hill, A Burning Desire. Now, I don't know if you guys ever read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, if any of you ever read the book, you know that there are 12 to 13 steps in there, or 13 chapters that talk about think and grow rich, how to manifest your richness and your abundance, but just more than that, just, manifest the things that you want in your life, right? And for some reason that just popped up to me. And if you've read that book, you know that the number one main chapter that he starts off with is a burning desire. Now, when I saw that, I said, okay, and I went to Napoleon Hill's book. I said, okay, chapter 2, desire, the starting point of all achievement. And so I was thinking like, why that, And then my mind got to exercising itself. And I said, oh, okay, I'm looking at what's going on. I'm looking at what's coming to me. So what I'm going to do, for some of you guys, you've either never heard of Think and Grow Rich, or you've never read it, or maybe you have heard of it and you just haven't read it. Maybe you have read it and you kind of forgot some of the, content a little bit. You need a refresher. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a minute and I'm going to read this. We're going to read this, right? We're going to read this together. It's going to be good because it's inspiring anyway. So we're just going to read parts of chapter 2. Then I'm going to take it to how it relates to what we are actually dealing with today. So let's go there. Let's go to the key chapter of Think and Grow Rich. When Edward C. Barnes climbed down from the freight train in Orange, New Jersey, more than 30 years ago, he may have resembled a tramp, but his thoughts were those of a king. As he made his way from the railroad tracks to Thomas Edison's office, his mind was at work. He saw himself standing in Edison's presence. He'd heard himself asking Mr. Edison for an opportunity to carry out one consuming obsession of his, a burning desire to become the business associate of a great inventor. Barnes' desire was not a hope. It wasn't a wish. It was a keen, pulsating desire, which transcended everything else. It was definite. The desire was not when he approached Edison. In the beginning, when the desire first appeared in his mind, It may have probably been only a wish, but it was no more just a mere wish when he appeared before Edison. After a few years later, Edwin C. Barnes again stood before Edison, and in the same office where he first met the inventor. This time, his desire had been translated into reality. He was a business partner with Edison. The dominating dream of his life had become a reality. Today, people who know Barnes envy him because of his break life yielded him. They see him in the days of his triumph without taking trouble to investigate the cause of his success. Bourne succeeded because he chose a definite goal, placed all his energy, all his willpower, all his effort, everything to back that goal. He did not become the partner of Edison that day when he arrived. He was content to start the most menial work, and as long as it provided an opportunity to take him from one step toward his cherished goal. 5 years passed before the chance he had been seeking made its appearance. During all those years, not one ray of hope, not one promise of attainment. His desire had been held out to everyone except himself. He appeared only as another cog in Edison's business wheel, but in his own mind, he was the partner of Edison every minute of the time, from the very day that he first went to work there. It was a remarkable illustration of the power of definite desire. Barnes won his goal because he wanted to be a business associate of Edison more than he wanted anything else. He created a plan by which to attain that purpose, but he backed it and burned all of his bridges behind him. He stood by his desire until it became a dominating obsession of his life, and it finally became a fact. Now, you see how powerful that is? How many people know that anything you've ever achieved in your life, I mean anything, you know, it could have been anything from you was to your last dime and you was looking for jobs and you had to feed your baby and you said, no, I'm finding me a job today. That burning desire. It could have been something where you kept getting rejected from college applications and you said, no, some college is going to accept me. I'm going to get in, and you got in. A burning desire. It could have been something as you trying to start a business. You kept getting no's for what you were looking for or the help that you was receiving, but your burning passion turned into millions because you decided that you wasn't going to give up. It could be anything, guys, over and over and over. What that illustration is reminding us is that it is a burning desire that brings about true change. And when that came to me, I was like, why that though? Like that's something different. But then I thought about it. I thought about what my internal was really saying to me. See, of course, African Americans and the blacks had a burning desire to be free, to be equal, to be treated fairly, to work, to achieve their dreams, to achieve their goals. The problem is, as we all know, just because you have a burning desire, it doesn't mean everybody else has that burning desire, right? That takes us to the mindset and the resilience of your enemies. This is what people fail to realize. And now this has nothing to do with race. This could be anyone. You all know that when you had to achieve something, your burning desire had to be so great because if it wasn't great, you wasn't going to achieve it. You wasn't going to achieve it. Number one, you got too many enemies. You got too many jealous people. You got too many problems. You got too many obstacles. You just got too much. So if your desire is not burning, it's not on fire, your will that no matter what, you're going to get the thing that you see in your mind's eye, there is no way that you will be able to accomplish it if you did not have a burning desire. Now, how am I translating that to what question I asked earlier, which was what has happened since 1963, the Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream, all the way to current today, where you're still dealing with certain types of police brutality, you're still dealing with economic and social issues. Blacks are still dealing with the struggles of jobs. Blacks are still dealing with, like education inequalities. Like, what is the problem? Could it be that there is not a burning desire there? Could it be See, we already know that your enemies don't have a burning desire for you to excel. You already know that. They have a burning desire, all right, but not for you to excel. They have a burning desire to make sure that you don't excel. Do you understand that? So if they have a burning desire and you supposed to have a burning desire, but you're lacking that burning desire, then who do you think's going to win? Who do you really think's going to win? The reason why I say all of that is because as a people, when you're talking about a collective, I'm not talking about individuals. As individuals, we pursue the things that we want to pursue. We have the desires for what we want, have a desire for. We have the will for what we have the will for. But I'm talking about as a collective people. Could it be that burning desire is lacking? Could it be? I'm not saying that some activists or some people don't have a passion for helping the Black community. That's not what I'm saying. But some is not all. And just 2 or 3 is not going to fix the problem of millions. It has to be all of us working together. And could it be that there is a lack of a burning desire? I believe so. And the number one reason why I believe so is because over the years, Blacks have been very, very separated toward one another. It's us versus them. It's kind of been that way for years, but it's gotten worse. So it's us versus them. It's B, we gonna get our money, forget them, if them, we ain't trying to mess with no broke folk, like it's these crazy cultural mentalities that have came along. It's this system. When I say system, I mean in system of entertainment, system of music, because system is not just racial system. System is not just the systems that you think of. System is everything. Music is a system. Church is a system. Everything you think of is a system. When you're at home taking care of your family, that's a system. You have a way of operating and a way of doing. Everything is a system. Do you understand that? So with this system of our culture and entertainment and our bipartisan politics and all of the separation and all of the craziness, it's gotten even worse. Because look at Democrats and Republicans fighting against each other. It got so bad to where when some of the Democrats didn't get what they wanted, it was talk of separating from your family. It was talk of separating from your friends. Tamika Mallory, everybody loves her. She's a fighter, right? And she was like, don't call me. Don't tell me you voted for Trump. I don't even want to hear that. What does that have to do? You got to continue to serve the Black community. You understand what I'm saying? If that's your fight, which I know she is, but I'm just saying, do you see how all these systems are so built to divide and to conquer? I think Black people are so focused on a system that's not fully focused on them. And that comes in many different ways. That comes in Black separation. That comes in politics. It can even come in church, us versus them mentality. How many of us went to church? Oh, we blessed, honey. We the cold chosen. We the cow. Like these attitudes, these systems of separations. But at the end of the day, all of us Black. And all of us got a deal. And at the end of the day, 2.5 million Black Americans, according to a White House report, are currently unemployed. So could it be because of all these intertwined systems that's in our culture, not just politics, not just we're talking about music. It's all in the music. It's all in the entertainment. It's all in the stuff we listen to. It's all and it has further and further and further divided Blacks. And Trump said it whether people wanted to face it or not. This system, these issues affect Black people the most. He said it. It's the truth, though. You don't have 2.5 million Asians unemployed in America. You don't have 2.5 million Hispanics unemployed in America. You don't have 2.5 million whites unemployed in America. You have 2.5 million Blacks unemployed in America. He was telling you guys the truth. A lot of people may not like him for whatever their reasons are, but sometimes you got to put your you got to put your objective cap on, especially if you're supposed to be reporters. You understand what I'm saying? You cannot like a person, but when it comes to your job and facts and reporting, you must be able to objectively give those facts. And Trump was not lying, y'all. He just wasn't. So again, could it be that there's a lack of a burning desire as a people to heal, to get better, to look at these systemic issues together. And when I say together, I mean all of us. What are these issues? Because they're not just race like you think they are. Black people, can we be honest for a minute? Y'all promise y'all not gonna get mad at me? You promise you not gonna get mad at me? Black people work in the American system, the medical field, social services field, military, jailhouses, prisons, in every arena that any other white has either worked in or does work in. So the same system that we talk about and say that's racial is no different when Black people are working in it. And sometimes Black people are also carrying out these agendas, some unknowingly, but there are many that know what they're doing. They know that they're part of the system. They know that they're demising other Black people. They know exactly what they are doing, which shows that there is a lack of a burning desire. Why do you think Martin Luther King was the way he was and on fire the way he was? Why do that speech have such impact the way he was? Because he had such a great burning desire. And even though it didn't get to fully carry out in his eyes because, you know, he got terminated or whatever, but that thing is so powerful. The energy behind that is so powerful that it's still a monument in this earth today. But just think if we had that same energy towards one another for real. Let's just say that when Trump said something about Black jobs, instead of all the Black community fighting and debating and going over all this stuff, what if Black people would have sat back and did research and said, you know what, there really is 2.5 million Blacks, according to the White House report, that ain't got no jobs. So maybe Trump making a point here. Let's see what the man got to say. We forget all these Black reporters who work for these major conglomerates have been let go. They got a few handful, but they let a lot of them go. Tamron Hall was one of them. Everybody liked Tamron Hall. You know, Tamron Hall don't offend nobody. Tamron Hall smile, honey. She put that old Southern smile on, and she don't offend nobody. She do her entertainment. She don't have that investigative reporter. She don't do none of that. She don't, you know, that's her way and mode of living and doing. And for her to get fired like that, now the advantage that those reporters have, and they still have today, Tamron Hall was married to a Jew who's predominant in the entertainment industry. So she wasn't going to suffer that much. He's filthy rich. You understand what I'm saying? But she was able, because so many Black people liked her, that when she switched, she was able to get her talk show and people just followed her. All of these people like Monthill, if I'm saying it right, I'm sorry, Roland Martin, you know, Jamil, all these people, because they were so prominent in the media, they have what you call fans. So how they were able to scale that when they got fired and let go, it was easy for them. They could just run a YouTube, start their own little medias, start their own companies. And guess what? Candace Owens got fired. Candace has over 100 and something million followers. Didn't affect her one bit. Everybody said, we going where Candace at. So that was the advantage that they had, because again, they were positioned correctly. Their educations were positioned correctly. Their opportunities were positioned correctly. But is that the whole? Is that the whole of American Black people? We know that that's not true. Each side knows that that's not true. The Democrats know it, and the Blacks know it. So what was the point of mocking? Blacks should have said, what is Trump saying? What is he really saying? And is there some truth to what he's saying? Because the truth is 2.5 million Blacks are unemployed. Some are unemployed because they no longer want to work and they're doing their own thing with their own entrepreneurial endeavors. But many of them still don't have a job. Now, those Black reporters were able to scale themselves. But is that the rest of the population, though? No, you know, if you start a YouTube channel, honey, you got to build that thing. You're not just going to have no fans and followers that run over there and follow you in less than 2 months. You got all your followers, you know, like Don Lemon and, you know, Joy, Grace. Like, it's, you understand what I'm saying? Because they had so many followers, people just, if they signed up on YouTube right now and they tell all the people they know, they send out an email, send out a shot, they immediately go over there. They can easily monetize. It will take you time to build. It will take you time. And so it is, we're looking for jobs and everything else that you're trying to achieve. So what if Black people would have said, wait a minute, what is really going on that this many Black people are unemployed? What is the truth? What is the truth? Because I didn't just make that up out of my head. That came off the White House website. Why are so many Blacks unemployed? What is the reasoning behind it? So again, I think in order for us to move ahead and begin to heal as a people and begin to understand real system issues, not race baiting all the time, not trying to get our way all the time, but understanding real system, what we call system issues, because it's not just race. Black people do it. They try to make sure that they stay dominant over Black people, other Black people. They try to make sure they keep the majority of the opportunity and other Blacks don't. That's injustice. That's not right. And so when we look into these issues, again, all week long, all month long, my actual theme is about reflections and resolutions. And I'm just introducing it today in this episode. But what we're really going to be going over is just really tapping into what are those generational cycles? What are they? Have you ever heard of people say generational curses? The truth is, you're not cursed, honey. You're not cursed. You may have had a lot of bad things happen to you. People try to put curses on people, do it. So, but you as a person are not cursed. In other words, God did not curse you. Life did not curse you. So what has these blows that has been dealt to you that has caused these cycles of unfair systems? It's not just race. It's not just, money, power, this and this and that. It goes beyond that. It's real deep, y'all. And we're going to dive into it. Also, we're going to look into what if that unfair system looks exactly like you? What do you do? What do you do when the unfair system is your color, is your race, talk like you, walk like you, think like you? You. What do you do when you have to look people in the eye who are Black, who do just as much as system injustice to you as any other race? How do you deal with that? How do you process that? How do you reflect on that? How do you heal from that? A lot of Blacks are holding energy that they haven't healed from. They're running around. Oh, the white folks did. The white folks this. These white folks. Oh, Trump. But that pinned up energy, if they're honest with themselves, is toward one another. Because so much injustice was done within the Black community. So much injustices. How do we deal with that? Injustice between the Black woman, the Black man. Injustices between families. What was those systems that Blacks had to face, not just with other races, but looking at themselves, looking at each other? And it's hard to talk about because, some Blacks get pissed and they try to jump on you and they cuss you out and they try to take what's called your Black card, even though they ain't never did nothing for you a day in your life. But, they want to take your Black card. They do that in Hollywood. We'll take your Black card, just crazy stuff. So again, we're going to look into some of that stuff, because it's called reflections. And we're going to look into how do we move forward in 2025, true forgiveness. Not that type of forgiveness where we say, the Bible says forgive, because if you don't forgive, God ain't forgive you. You know how people try to manipulate you with that. People always taking scriptures and taking it out of context. But God wants us to think and God wants us to process stuff. What is true forgiveness? And in order for us to have true forgiveness, you have to have true reflection. And if you don't have true reflection and process stuff, then what are you forgiving? You're still holding it. Everybody's still holding it. So that's some of the stuff we're going to go over for this December, heading us into 2025. Because what we want to do is, we've heard so much. There's been so much warfare, so many battles, so much strife, so much division. And we got to process everything we've heard, all of this information. And we got to really sit down and think about it and talk about it and reflect on it, process it out, and use strategies to really move us forward. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today and remind you of what's coming up. And I'm going to end out this session. I don't want to keep you too long, but I'm going to do a little quick trivia. I'm going to stick a clock right here. So there's going to be a clock right here. I'm going to stick that clock right here or right there. One of the two. So there's a clock, right? And this clock is going to be ticking. Little fast clock. What I'm going to show you just how much a lot of things really have not changed. It's been this way a long time, guys. A long time. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to name some dates. When I name these dates, I want to see if you can think about what was the songs during those times. What were the social songs, the injustice songs, the civil rights songs, whatever it was. I'm just going to throw out a date. And I'm going to let the clock tick a little bit. And then you see if you can guess it. Put it in the comments below. State what you think about it. But if not, we'll go ahead and dive into it. Just a little quick trivia to close us out, okay? So again, December 22nd, 1964. Y'all remember anything? I don't know if you're that age or not, but do you remember anything from December 22nd, 1964? Any song? This is all about songs. So this is a song trivia. Any music? All right. A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. Okay? And that had to do with civil rights and social injustice. Now we're going to go to political protests. June 4th, 1984. Again, this is about political protests. June 4th, 1984. I'll give you a few minutes. The clock is ticking. Do you remember any song that resonates with you? Okay, Born in the USA by Bruce Springsteen. I know you remember that. Born in the USA. No, but anyway, it was often misinterpreted as being patriotic, but come to find out, the song critiques the treatment of Vietnam veterans and working class Americans. April 6, 1988. This had to do with economic equality. Y'all remember? Anybody remember out there? April 6, 1988. Do anyone remember? What was going on during that time? And think about a song that comes to mind. Clock is ticking. Okay. Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. So you guys remember that song? You need a fast car. And y'all remember that? That was a cool song though. But that song was a reflection of the cycle of poverty and struggle for a better life. So you remember she was saying that, and we got a fast car, and we gonna get in and get it. We're gonna leave this old town. Yeah. It was pretty good though. Now, this one deals with systemic issues and social injustice. This is going to be June 1989. And also August 1990. Y'all remember now. And here you 90 folks, 80 folks, 90s and 80 folks. So again, this was social issues and social injustice. Do y'all remember any songs during that time in the 80s? Any power songs? Clock ticking. Okay. Public Enemy, Fight the Power. Fight the power that be. Gonna fight the power. Y'all remember that? I was younger, but you guys remember that? So it was an anthem, and it was an anthem that was calling against the resistance of, again, systemic oppression. So I know y'all remember that by Public Enemy, honey. That was that was the big one. And old dude, I forget his name, he had that big clock around him. You know, the short, dark-skinned dude with that big clock. But anyway, this is gonna be last one. And this is for you youngsters. So you youngsters should know this one. This is going to be, again, this is another one that's dealing with systemic issues and social injustice. Now, this is May 5th, 2018. So just a few years back. So May 5th, 2018. So if anybody can remember what was going on in 2018, if anybody can recall. Okay, clock ticking. All right. This is America. So y'all remember that? This is America. This is America. Y'all remember that? So Childish Gambino. So when I first saw that video, I was looking at it, right? Because he didn't have no shirt on. And they had these people lined up. They had a choir. They had all of this. And he would, be singing this song and moving his body all contorted, right? But when he went through the different acts, he was showing everybody laughing, everybody dancing in the entertainment industry. And he was just letting everybody jamming, everybody entertaining. but all the killing, pow. And then he had the choir up there. The church was singing in church. All of a sudden, pow, And so he was basically doing a critical commentary through song about gun violence and systemic oppression. So I just want to close that out with you today. I'm pretty sure you guys was like, man, but I just wanted to jog your remember. If you could just think of a date and then think of, what was happening during that time and what was the songs during that time. Like if somebody said to me, what was going on in 1985, 1986, and this, I would say Madonna, Prince, all of them. All of those songs was the hits back then. So, but I hope you really hear my heart in this session and what I have to say. And really us recognizing what really lacks when it comes to Black people as a whole. There is something lacking, and that came to me, and that's what's lacking: a burning desire. There are a few people, they're passionate about Black people, they're passionate about the Black community, they're passionate about the movement, but that's not the majority of Black people. The majority of Black people have grown weary, they grown tired, they like, forget them, honey, I'm gonna take care of myself, honey, we can't help them, honey, we don't care about that no more, honey, this and this, so there's a lack of desire. And not just desire, but burning desire. And when those mechanisms have been broken down, then your enemy's desires are definitely stronger than yours. And that's why this stuff is still going on. I heard a young lady in the media, a popular young lady, I can't think of her name right now. She said, you mean to tell me we still dealing with this stuff and it's 2024? Yeah. Because just because you're passionate about something, it doesn't mean that the whole of Black people are passionate about it. The reason why a lot of Black people were passionate about it then, because a lot of Black people were suffering in the masses then. So of course they were coming together passionate then. But since things have become so lax and people just really don't care, we don't care about the 2.5 million that don't have jobs. We're bragging about our Black jobs, but we forgot about all those 2.5 million. We don't care, that we're trying to figure out Trump. Look at us. We're Black reporters. What do you mean Black jobs? But you forget all of your major Black reporters have been fired and let go. And if it wasn't for YouTube or social, where would they go real fast to build something? They were able to scale because they were popular. But think about all these 2.5 million Blacks that are not, and they got to scrape by to get by and struggle by, and they dealing with inflation, and they dealing with systemic issues. The system, still dealing with the system. And I'm not talking about race. I told you we're going to get into that all December long, but they're dealing with some stuff. So I just wanted to bring light to that. I hope you guys have a great one and have a blessed one. And as Dan Rather would say, courage, my friends, courage. I'm closing this session out, and I will see you next week. Happy upcoming holidays, and remember to like, share, and subscribe. And guys, always remember, entertainment is good, but we should be filling ourselves not just with entertainment. We should be filling ourselves with knowledge and wisdom and understanding. You have a blessed day.